Joining me right now with reaction in this Sunday morning exclusive is House Speaker, California Congressman Kevin McCarthy. Mr. Speaker, thanks very much for being here this morning. Are you expecting to speak to the president today? And what is your reaction to what you just heard from President Biden?
Well, yeah, I will speak to the president in the next hour right after this show. He'll be on Air Force One coming back. Well, first of all, your voters have to your listeners have to understand this. Is it a revenue problem or is it a spending problem? In the last 50 years, we would average about 17% of GDP in revenue. Right now, we're almost at 20%. Only 2 times in American modern history have we ever got here, 1944 and 2000. So we have more money coming in to the coffers than at any time in history. The real challenge is our spending. Our spending on average for the last 50 years has been about 21%. Well, in FY22, after the Democrats had taken over, we're roughly over 24% of GDP. So it's a sheer spending problem. And it's very odd to me with what the president says. We have never offered something different than we talked about the entire time. The pivot has really been after Bernie Sanders had his press conference. The president pivoted back. He actually proposed spending billions more next year than we spend this year. The president's budget actually proposes spending more money than we spent at the height of the pandemic. We just can't afford to keep borrowing from China and be more dependent and create more inflation.
What'd you say there, McCarthy?
Actually proposes spending more money than we spent at the height of the pandemic. We just can't afford to keep borrowing from China and be more dependent.
Oh, well, I'll be darned. That same country that always pops up with Joe pops up once again. Huh. I ain't saying nothing. I'm just, I'm just making some observations here. Just making an observation. That's all.
And create more inflation. I do not think it's extreme that we simply say we should spend less than we spent this year. We should pull back the unspent money from COVID. We talk about work requirements that actually bring people to jobs. The president voted for this as a senator. President Clinton signed it. Every statistical data shows that it helps people get jobs. And we're only talking about able-bodied people who have no dependents. They could be going to school, they don't have to worry. They could be volunteering at the church, don't have to worry. But let's help people get jobs to help our supply chain. The president wants to borrow more money from China to pay people to stay home. And then we're talking about cutting the red tape so we can create projects. We can actually...
I've already touched on how I feel about, these handouts and, that sort of stuff, all these programs and this and that. Hey, listen. If you can go to work, you better have your butt at work 45 hours a week if you want any type of assistance. And I say 45 hours a week because obviously the average is 40. But I need to see that you're actually putting in some effort. Some effort. I don't want to see somebody just get, I don't know, you name whatever minimum wage job you can think of, right? You call it, and they work the bare minimum at the minimum wage job, and oh no, I can't afford anything, guys. I need assistance. Okay, if you're gonna do that, that's fine. Obviously, somebody needs to work at minimum wage jobs. Typically, we would see younger folks, but hey, somebody's got to do it, right? Fine, but you need to be working 45 at least if you want assistance. 45. I need to see that you're trying to help yourself before I help you. And I don't think that's unreasonable. 45 isn't a crazy amount. I mean, an extra hour a day, or you could get a second job where you just working one day, 5 hours or whatever, a few hours for 2 days a week at a second job. It's not a lot. It's not. So y'all let me know how y'all feel about that. And do you think it would be an effective thing to implement?
And then we're talking about cutting the red tape so we can create projects. We can actually work instead of slowing everything up. I don't think these are extreme. I don't think these are draconian. And we want to be able to cap further expenditures, right? We don't cut government going in the future. We only let it grow at 1%. This is an idea that Joe Manchin had. So these are really common sense, responsible, sensible ideas of what we've offered.
I want to get into the nuts and bolts here in terms of what you're fighting for. But the president just said earlier this morning that he's not going to have cuts to spending without revenue raise. Are you going to raise taxes on people?
No, and that's different than what the president said in the Oval Office. He said, I know.
Have cuts to spending without revenue raise. Are you going to raise taxes?
So he's not going to cut the spending without raising more revenue. That's crazy.
Taxes on people.
No,
Thanks,
and
Joe.
that's different than what the president said in the Oval Office. He said, I know that's off the table. And I told the president, on February 1st, I sat down with the president, long before Janet Yellen ever told us when the deadline was, that it was going to be way into the summer. And I said, let's be responsible. Let's sit down, let's negotiate together, and let's put America on a different trajectory. Let's spend less than we spent before. Let's grow this economy, and let's save money where we've wasted. He ignored me for 97 days. It wasn't until the House Republicans actually passed a bill that raised the debt ceiling, limited what we'd spend in the future, saved the taxpayer monies, and grow our economy so the market would be going up, not down. That's the only reason we're in the room, but the president has really shifted right after the more progressive socialist wing of the party stood up and says they want to spend more money. He's now bringing something to the table that everyone said was off the table. It seems as though he wants default more than he wants a deal. That's not where I'm at. And the one thing you know about me, Maria, I will never give up.
That's the sense that I've gotten. And I've even said that in a couple YouTube shorts that I've dropped, that I feel like Democrats want a default. They want this to happen, in my humble opinion. Why? I haven't quite figured that one out yet. I hear people talking about what is it, the 14th Amendment? I don't know. How are you guys feeling?
To solve this problem and make our economy stronger, curb inflation, and be less dependent on China, and really focus on American problems with American solutions.
So do you think Bernie Sanders is among those leading this for the president?
Well, the president, he really wags the dog. I mean, when Bernie Sanders or AOC says something, the White House shifts to the other way. And I'm sorry, nobody believes in any household that you should spend more money. Think about what a debt ceiling is. It is your child having a credit card, and they spent all the money up. But you've done it year after year where you only kept lifting the debt limit for it.
Yeah.
And now you owe more on the credit card than you make an entire year, because our deficit is larger than our whole economy.
Yeah.
Should you just raise the debt limit, or should you look where your spending is? And it's not extreme to go back in spending levels that we spent just 5 months ago. That's not arcane.
Are there areas of commonality, of agreement? I know that clawing back the unspent COVID-19 money was something that both sides agreed upon. Do you also have agreement on permitting? Do you have agreement on caps on spending for the coming years?
Well, the difficulty is nothing's agreed to at all. But all the discussions we had before, I felt we were at a place that we could agree together, that we would have compromise. We wouldn't get what our bill said. We would find compromise that we could lift the debt limit, we can spend less than we spent before, we could claw back money that was unspent, we could get permitting reform where we cut red tape, have people build again. I mean, I believe this was a place that everybody gave. Now the president, even though he was overseas, thought to change places. I don't understand that. For 97 days, he ignored me. We were in a good place. He goes overseas, and now he wants to change the debate. That's not healthy. We still have to pass a bill before the House and the Senate, and we only have 11 days to go.
Yeah, and I know that you have also discussed, it passed in your bill that you would raise the ceiling until 2024, but are you expecting this is going to be raised all the way to 25 at this point? What's the timing?
Well, we talked about all of that, and think about that. If he wants to raise the debt further, that means a higher debt limit. We're looking at where we can actually put us on a better path, because if you go to the president's path, he's going to increase the debt to a place that we can't afford, where right now it's going to be 17 cents on every dollar we bring in goes to interest. We will pay more money in interest in the next 10 years than we paid in the last 83 years. It'll be 10.5 trillion. Don't you hate paying the interest on your credit cards? Well, now what's happening is every single American that has a new baby, that baby gets charged $94,000 coming into this world. I think that's wrong.
Speaker, I want to get one more comment from you on the call that you had. You had a call with FBI Director Christopher Wray on Friday. You know that James Comer has a subpoena out for the document that he wants to see. Are you going to be able to get that document? What went on with your call with the director of the FBI?
Well, I want to be very clear with the FBI director that Congress has a right and we have the jurisdiction to oversee the FBI. This is one piece of paper that a chairman of a committee has requested to see. He hasn't even acknowledged whether he has this document, but he hasn't even provided it. I explained to the director that we will do everything in our power, and we have the jurisdiction over the FBI, that we have the right to see this document. I believe after this call, we will get this document.
All right, we will be waiting for that. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. We're going to be waiting to hear what goes on with your call with the president after this program, and you are making a difference. We see your poll numbers as well continuing to rise. Thank you so much, Speaker.
Shout out to Kevin McCarthy. Wow. Big shout out, big shout out, big shout out. You know, I kind of wanted to touch on this for a couple of reasons. One, and it's why you see me dropping some of these YouTube shorts that I dropped as well. If you haven't seen those, you're probably not going to get a notification for them. Just come back to the channel periodically. I drop typically at least 3 of those every single day. They're little short, less than 60 seconds kind of clips that, you know, are very, very interesting. At least I find them very interesting. And a lot of you find them interesting. So if you're interested in those, just come back to the channel periodically and, you know, they should be there. I want to say there's even a shorts tab when you come to the channel. If you just click on shorts, and you'll see all the shorts, and literally you can watch those shorts for hours on end, because there's so many that I've dropped. But anyway, I wanted to touch on this for multiple reasons. One of them being the mainstream media isn't going to show this. Like, leftist mainstream media isn't going to show this. They're going to sweep this under the rug. Oh, Joe Biden's ignoring McCarthy. We're not going to talk about that because that's against our agenda, which I hate that about the news at this point in time. The news should just be the news and not your opinions. I don't care about your opinions. Tell me the news. If Joe is messing up, tell me the news. If Trump is messing up, tell me the news. If McCarthy is messing up, tell me the news. If the sky is falling, tell me the news. I don't care about your opinions. But that's where it's gotten at this point, unfortunately. So I like to touch on certain videos to shed light on them, right? And hopefully you guys are sharing these videos yourselves, copying the link, sending it to your friends, your neighbors, your aunts, your uncles, cousins, brothers, sisters, whomever, sharing them on your platform, okay? So we can combat the leftist media, not putting these videos out for the public to consume, all right? That's one of the reasons. So that's out of the way. And 2 is I wanted to give Kevin McCarthy his credit, or his flowers, so to speak, because I was wrong about McCarthy, at least thus far. When they were discussing who was going to be speaker, I was like, we don't want McCarthy. We don't want McCarthy. You know, I was all on that train. No McCarthy. No McCarthy. No McCarthy. He's proven me wrong. He's proven me wrong, at least thus far. And I gotta say, I'm sorry, McCarthy. Kevin, if you happen to be watching this, which I highly doubt, but I'm sorry. I was wrong. You've proven me wrong. You have proven that you can handle business and you aren't going to be beholden to the establishment. You work for the people. And that's what you've shown me. I respect that. I respect that. So that was another reason why I wanted to check out this or share this video with you guys. Is, you know, I just want to apologize. You know, sometimes I'm wrong. I'm not afraid to admit when I am wrong. I'm not always gonna be right. Probably wrong a whole lot more than I ever am right. I'm fine with that. That's cool. I'm okay. right? Nothing wrong with being wrong. Just saying. But, yeah, big shout out to Kevin McCarthy, and make sure you guys share these types of videos so, once again, we can combat the leftist media because of the narrative that they try to push. Because what I've seen in my short time of, paying attention to politics is they cover they cover up stories like this. They don't show this on leftist media. They don't show it at all. So a lot of these leftist voters, they have no clue what Kevin McCarthy is saying. Zero clue, zero idea what Kevin McCarthy is saying. All they hear is when Joe and Karine Jean-Pierre and, all of these leftist politicians, the MAGA Republicans are the terrible, no good, very bad people. They can't pass a bill, blah, 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 which is a lie because Republicans actually did pass a bill, so that's just where I'm at with it. You guys can let me know if you feel the same way. Talk to me in the comment section below. But, yeah. Sorry, Kevin McCarthy. I was wrong about you. I apologize. Peace and love, family. I'm out.